Okay, everyone, thank you very, very much for joining us today for our full stack lunch and learn webinar series. We really appreciate everyone giving up half an hour of their lunchtime during these trying times. So just so we're aware, everyone, this webinar will be recorded and be available to everyone post this particular call. We've put everyone on mute today. So if you do have any questions to ask, you can actually use the chat button to ask some questions as we go through the webinar. And we'll answer those questions as we go through today's session, if possible. And if not, we'll regroup and answer some of these questions at a later stage. So just to introduce ourselves and to get started, my name's Cam O'Riordan. I head up our sales and marketing team here at Stack Sports for the region. And today's webinar will be hosted by Michael Johnson, who is our digital producer working in our digital team. So feel free to use the chat button and ask any questions as we go through today's session. And we really hope you get something out of it. And without further ado, I'll hand over to Michael to take us through the rest of today's session. Thanks very much, Michael.
Thanks, Cam. I'm just getting a bit of background noise from someone. Do we mind just trying to mute them first?
It needs to be tested anyway. Yeah. Apparently the testing thing is going to change in the next couple of days. So then we need to get it tested.
Michael, I'm not sure. We're just having a few technical issues that we're just trying to work through with Michael being able to hear him. So, Michael, you might want to check your microphone there.
You went night or yeah, but he's been exposed to get all the way down. So he wiped his own we know the electric message is the biggest and the strongest and youngest, so you can do it. It's fine. We gloved him up and down. And we got hold of 100 litres from Pratt Power Pack from that day.
Clearly now, Cam? It says I've been unmuted.
I went to full bunny yesterday on my travels and nothing.
I could hear whoever said, "Can you hear me?"
Right. Everybody can hear me speaking, Michael, the host for today.
Yeah, Michael.
And I'm currently not getting all the ICU.
Cam, can you just give me a confirmation that we're good to start, mate, and you can hear me clearly?
Get my home from school now. Yeah. That was a good fucking day yesterday. Like, and I said, well, during this, we're sick.
Hey, MJ, you're probably best off just muting everyone.
Yeah, I thought Cam was going to try. Everybody, Cam, if you're listening, can you please mute everybody? Because I can hear a lot of background noise at the moment.
Done now, mate.
It's a lot better. Okay, we got... sorry about those technical difficulties, but we're underway. So, yeah, firstly, I'd just like to echo a bit about what Cam said and hope that you're all doing as well as you can, given these circumstances at the moment. And look, we hope that maybe all or just some of the information that we share today that you can take back to your club or association, organisation, whatever it may be, to help you stay connected with your players, fans, your staff, participants, etc. Just a quick background about myself. I've spent the last 4 to 5 years working for a few different agencies, including Stack Sports now, mainly focused on digital marketing and web development, things like Google AdWords, SEO, social media, EDM, stuff like this. I also love my sport. I play football on the weekends, mixed with the occasional round of terrible golf. And I also sit on the committee at Albert Park Soccer Club. So look, a lot of what I'm going to go through today, I've already passed on to our committee members and they've already started to implement, which I can demonstrate a little later on in this presentation as well. Just to reiterate, we will field all questions at the end of each section, just post your comments. Sorry, just post your questions in the comments section, and don't worry too much if I ignore them, because I'm sure Cam will make sure that I circle back, and everyone's now on mute. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So in terms of what we're going to try and cover today, I've got about 30 to 45 minutes, so hopefully we can get through it all and answer your questions in that time. But so social media to engage your community, how we can leverage esports during these times, e-commerce, so things like setting up your websites for donations to be accepted from generous people in your community, and as well as promotions on your products. Guest posts to your websites. So we're talking about things like getting your head coach or your players to put video updates on your website or social media, or even asking fans or players to write guest posts or articles on your website. Oops. And lastly, we'll touch on our Gameday website product and how those can help facilitate a lot of what we're going to go through in today's topics. Simple but hopefully effective tools to keep your audiences engaged with your brand, sport or club, and most importantly though, keeping engaged with each other during this time. This webinar is intended to be for an audience of varying skills and experience with digital marketing and social media. So we do expect that some of the representatives are going to be from smaller sporting clubs, and maybe even potentially some representatives from larger sporting organizations. So look, while some of the webinar might not be entirely relevant for all of you at the same time, it will be spot on for some others at those times. So we understand that certain things are basic. It will include a lot of examples. I don't expect everyone to be able to entirely copy what some of these larger brands that I'm going to demonstrate today have done on social media, but hopefully it can give information on just how far-reaching you can be at this time, and what else you can do to stay connected with each other, okay? All right, so first up, we've got using social media to engage our community. So I've been looking through a lot of articles and research over the last week or so in preparation for the webinar, and there's been, lots of studies and information out there about the increasing use of social media. According to Nielsen, a company that conducts large audience reports and studies in the US, they've deduced that social distancing and isolation will probably push media consumption habits up by as much as 60%, and that could only grow and grow as the pandemic exponentially gets worse, to be blunt. Another study was conducted by Obviously, which is a large influencer agency. They observed 260 of their own influencer campaigns across Instagram and TikTok, and they found this increase in daily accumulated likes had occurred over the last 2 weeks. So that's people like, let's just throw an example out there, LeBron James. If they manage that athlete as an influencer, they've noticed that in the last 2 weeks, he's had a 76% increase in the daily accumulated likes. And whilst that's LeBron James and it's not Michael Johnston of Albert Park Soccer Club, it is all relative, all right? And so there's a lot more people out there that are on social media and willing to engage. To put it simply, there's a lot of people at the moment using social media, and there's a lot more of an increase in usage on social media amongst everybody on these platforms, and we can leverage this. And I'm going to take you through a couple of case studies that I've seen in the last week or so that have been impressive, innovative. So this one, we've got Formula One, and you can just see here in these slides that we've got an online quiz that they set up, okay, and fans were able to click on that Facebook post, which took them off to a landing page where they could complete like an online form, which is something you guys can do in your website, and fill out the answer to the online quiz. All right. You guys can create your own club trivia, hopefully bring back some of the memories for your past players and test your fans' knowledge of the club's history. There are also plenty of free quiz creators out there, such as Woobox, Outgrow, and I will leave references to all these online articles, statistics, and some of these tools that I've got here in these slides. I will leave them in a slide at the end for you guys to circle back to afterwards. But you sort of want to make sure with the online quiz tool that you select, or if you're going to just drop it in your website with a form, that you've got some way of the email addresses of people that have completed the form. And that can be just a simple email field at the start of the form that's required to be filled out. And that way you can sort of email market back to these guys that have completed it, growing your audience base and obviously your ability to market to a lot more people during this time. And then this particular example of Formula One doing a virtual race. So obviously with the Formula One in Australia and preceding Grand Prix suspended for now, they decided to take theirs online and invite players, fans, celebrities, and even actual F1 races to compete in this event, basically just on a PlayStation or an Xbox. And I'll quickly just click to this so that you guys can see. So here we've got a post that was a live video on Facebook, and I'm not going to play all of this. Basically, they've got a whole panel of guests commentating on the event, and they've got fans, players, race drivers. Okay, over on the right side here, that this live event on Facebook had a lot of engagements and live commentary. Now, that large as one, or a lot of us aren't. But just looking at the inspiration there, you can always speak to some of your existing players or fans, parents that might have kids that are very familiar with the gaming consoles and knowing how to play online, and you can sort of invite them to maybe host on your Facebook a live video of them playing FIFA against each other, or even set up a tournament. That's just one particular example of how they've managed to reach out to a large audience whilst everybody is at home, more or less glued to their screens. And so here's a bit more of a realistic example. So looking at Albert Park here, I've just got a little bit of a self-promotion going on here. But I just wanted to sort of see what sort of traction this could get. And what I did was I simply went for a run around the block using an app called Runkeeper, but there's plenty of them out there that allow you to share your exercise workouts and compete with one another. And I just wanted to see what would happen if I shared it to our Albert Park social media page. I've basically just asked people to take on my challenge and see if they could do a better time. Okay. And in the short space of time that it was live a couple of days ago, I think I've got some statistics up in the next slide. Had 309 people reached in less than 24 hours, which is essentially the amount of people that have managed to scroll past that Facebook post. And we had 100 engagements, which is basically they've decided to click on and view the post and like it or share it with other people in our community. So to give you an idea, organic reach is extremely important. Organic reach is the number of people that you can get to see your content without paying for the distribution of these posts. And basically, if Facebook can detect that you've got a lot more people looking through your content, sharing it with their networks, then what's likely to happen is those posts that you put on your page will be shared through to more people's news feeds, and you just start to organically grow your brand and your page, and hopefully they start to like and engage with your page a lot more. So we can see here a couple of people have shared their runs in the last day or so, saying this, etc., etc. So yeah, that's just a little bit more of a small scale idea of how you can get people sharing their exercise habits and challenges with one another on social media. They can be in the form of videos, such as juggling at home with a soccer ball and sending that challenge out there to their friends. Or it can be something like this, just tracking your run around the block and posting it up there. Okay, so that's taken us to the next section, Cam. So might just quickly duck out of the slide and check that we've not got any. Do you want to just jump in, Cam?
Yeah, I think, there hasn't been any questions come through. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to type them in the box around leveraging our players and our staff to help drive content. I think, as Michael touched on there, it's a really good time to stay in touch with our players and people within our club and within our organisation, and get them to compete in a little competition, or get them to compete in a little fun run, or whatever it may be. I think Football Australia did an interesting one with a soccer ball, and see how many times you could kick the soccer ball off the ground, and they're having a competition on how many touches individuals could get individually, and how long they could actually keep it off the ground for. So there's some very, very interesting ideas that are happening out there, Michael. So I'll let you continue on to the next part of the webinar, mate.
Sure. Okay, so how to leverage esports. I've probably touched on a bit of this in the previous slides and got a bit ahead of myself, but if I've got something extra to add here that I've written down in my notes, I certainly will. So yeah, we've got another case study here. So La Liga, which is the Spanish top division of football, they decided that they would get a representative from each club in the La Liga and compete in a FIFA tournament. Okay, and as you can see here, Asensio from Real Madrid was crowned the winner of the tournament, and they donated all of the proceeds to fight against COVID-19. The digital strategy leader, Alfredo Bermejo, my Spanish isn't great, said that, ended up with some very top athletes who were very competitive, and even though it was for a great cause, they still really wanted to win. And the full article link I will leave at the end. So to sort of touch on more about how you could achieve this for your, site, you could simply post the rules of your competition in a simple landing page on your website. You might want to try and find someone with suitable experience in consoles like Xbox or PlayStation, computers, whatever it may be, and sort of say, look, if you can set up this tournament offline and get people to arrange to play their matches on their Xbox consoles, and trust me, if you give that to anyone between the ages of 8 years old and as old as me, and I'm nearly 30, I know how to play Xbox. I play a lot of Xbox. You'll find plenty of people in your club that know how to work that out. And then basically from there, you can decide if you want to charge a fee to enter and donate to the club and the rest to the winner. You can create online forms on your website for people to enter the competition. Posting the draw and continually updating the results on your website can all be done through Gameday websites, or I'm assuming the solution that you've got as well, but we can touch a little more on that later. But yeah, that was just another example I saw that I thought, yeah, that's got some great reach. I think I also saw a young boy post a video of himself training, his goalkeeper training in his backyard, which got the attention of people like David De Gea and other goalkeepers around the world. So it's possible, basically. You just never know. You can sort of reach what audience you can reach on social media at the moment. E-commerce. So just quickly, yeah.
We had a question come in from James, which I think is a really valid one, and one that we can take offline potentially with James. Sort of asked a question around the best times to post on each platform and a recommended number of posts per day. And I might just chime in with a bit of what we do here internally, and then throw to you, Michael, as well, is that we actually come up with a bit of a content plan, and we sort of talk out how many posts we're going to put forward each day across our platforms, whether that be Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. We talk around the topics that we're actually going to post. So some topics might be only posted on LinkedIn
and some topics might only be posted on Facebook or might only be posted on Twitter. We usually find, for us personally, before this pandemic occurred, our best posting times was generally around Tuesday morning, Monday morning, and sometimes Friday afternoon at around 3:30, 4 o'clock across those platforms. However, we're seeing our reach now just be all over the shop. It's sort of, there's no consistent time frame. Posts are generating a lot of traction at hours that we've never experienced before because people actually have more time and are a bit more available. So at the moment, what I would say is map out a content plan, and I'm happy to share with you a content plan at the end of this webinar that we can email to you, to James, so you can sort of work through that and look at what reach you want to get, what topics you want to discuss. And a lot of it comes down to trial and error. But yeah, I'll definitely email you the content plan that we're using at the end of today's webinar and make it available to anyone else that wants it because they might find it very useful.
Yeah, Cam, that's spot on. With the posting at the correct times prior to all of this COVID-19 stuff, it would have been, commutes to work. So between the hours of 7 and 9, and then commutes home after sort of 4 till 7, and then even in people's lunch breaks. But as you said, Cam, that's no longer the case, and we're seeing irregular traffic and reach. What I will say is that there is plenty of research out there around this sort of stuff, when to post. And Facebook and these other social platforms are quite good with their insights for your business page. If you just take a look at that on a regular basis, it will show you at what times of day you're getting reach, and you'll start to learn what sorts of posts get better reach as well. So some little tips I can try and share are trying to keep captions small. Video content is ideal. People like to engage with video content, but that said, you don't want videos to be too long. And one thing I've learned more recently is that with video content, you should try and have it captioned. So if you've got anyone with the technical skills to put your video file into a video editing tool, and then you should try and caption your videos because people do like to scroll through and not play them out loud. Yeah, so hopefully that's answered your question. And I suppose the last thing is you want to be consistent for your followers. So doing things like, hey guys, first round of the tournament's been released. We'll be posting the results tomorrow at 10 a.m. Or hey, tune in once a week and we'll be checking in with our head coach to see what he's been doing and planning for the upcoming season when it resumes, and making sure that Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. you've always got your coach video ready to post, because if people sort of start to see that your posts aren't, won't really know when following won't really grow. Were there any more questions, Cam?
At the moment, Michael.
Cool. No worries, James. Okay. So e-commerce. So what I've got here, this is a pretty quick slide, but this is just an image taken from one of our Gameday websites. This is the Illawarra Hawks. And basically using WooCommerce powered by Wordpress, they've got an e-commerce website with all their upcoming bestsellers, new arrivals, and they've got promotional banners. This is just the home page. So it drills down into product pages. It's got a full e-commerce capability with checkout capabilities using your own gateway or PayPal. You can create discounts for your customers. You can create a donation product, and I think people are surprisingly generous during these times. So I suppose just to generate some revenue for your club is to make sure you get on e-commerce or Facebook shop or whatever it is, and try and promote that you've got discounts, or maybe even put it out there that the club needs some donations to get through this tough time. If you've not really got an e-commerce solution, then you're probably missing out on a trickle of revenue, right? There will be more touched on for e-commerce a little later on in the presentation, or the webinar, sorry, when we get to Gameday websites. But does anybody have some questions regarding e-commerce, how to set it up, where to begin? what solutions there are.
Yeah, and Michael, the questions come in direct to me from Victor, who's online. And the question is around categorizing items and how an online shop like this can be applied to a grassroots club as opposed to a professional club. So obviously this one we're looking at the Illawarra Hawks. Can a site like this be deployed to a grassroots club? And how do they go about taking payments online for people that want to buy certain pieces of club merchandise?
Yeah, good question. So the first one around, can this be deployed for smaller clubs? Absolutely. This is our standard shop template. And so what I might do is I might so this is Kellyville Rouse Hill Football Club, AFL club over in New South Wales. So similarities here to the Illawarra Hawk store at the top, and then the categorization of products here, and they've got their banner. So Kellyville Rouse Hill, they're still in the process of configuring some of these banners, but this is what their homepage looks like. It's pretty neat, pretty sophisticated. You got some banners, got some categories here you can promote, and they've got their beanie and their caps and their things promoted down here. Okay, and so now on to the next question, which is well, the categorization of products. So you can basically assign whatever categories you want to your shop. Okay, you just create them in 2 or 3 simple steps, and then you start assigning each of the individual products to those categories that you want. And then checking out in terms of how do people go about paying. So what we help you do is set up either a PayPal account and then plug that into your website through the API keys PayPal assigned to you, or we can help you set up a Braintree account, which is our preferred gateway. And we don't use our own Braintree account. You set up your own Braintree account, so payments come straight into your bank account, and we don't take fees on any transactions that people want to make on your store. There is also the option for payments to be made off the website. So for example, I can add to the cart. I can decide during the checkout that I don't want to pay, but I actually want to have an EFT invoice sent to my email address, and you can decide to EFT the club directly from your bank account as well. So there are a number of options, but essentially the main point is we don't take a fee in these particular instances or these websites, these WooCommerce websites. Does that answer all of the questions that came up there?
Yeah, they're all the questions that have come through so far, Michael.
Yeah, sweet. Guest posts to your website. Okay. So this is Adam Simpson, the head coach of the West Coast Eagles, and I will click to it in a minute. But basically, this touches on what I was saying before about getting your head coach, or your captain, or your players to maybe once a week or so update the team. So I think during this time, video content is a really powerful tool. People being in isolation, I think phone calls and text messages they're good, but I really think if you can have face-to-face conversations, albeit over Skype or whatever it is, or sharing a social post like this, are going to be a lot better. Keeps people more engaged. Seeing other people's faces also makes messages feel more personal. So the way you could go about doing this, and I've left a guide link at the end of the webinar, but you just need to set up yourself a YouTube channel. It's very easy to do. And then basically you can just film from your phone or your tablet or your desktop computer with a Skype camera. And once you've got that video ready to upload to YouTube, you can upload it to YouTube, and then basically you can just share this video either to your Facebook page, you can paste the URL in your WordPress website, or people can just have a link to your YouTube channel where these posts are going to be, right? So I might just play this video from Adam. It's a nice message. Hopefully you can all hear this. Did you hear that clearly?
It was cutting in and out a little bit there, Michael, but you might just want to talk through it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So, look, Adam Simpson was just sort of congratulating his playing group on how they played on the weekend, given that the circumstances were that the AFL season was going to be suspended following that match, and was just sort of saying that, whilst we're all shutting up shop for a while, just a bit of a message about staying strong and supporting one another, following all the guidelines during the coronavirus pandemic, so that we can all get back out there and play some footy and get back to doing what we love. So yeah, it's just an example of very simple. Get your head coach, put on his gear, his club gear, and just film him saying like a message, an update for 20 or 30 seconds, and post it to your social media channels. I reckon could just go a really long way to letting your fans know that club is still operating and thinking of everybody. And I suppose what's really important is we don't really know how long we could all be stuck in self-isolation and how long our sports may take to be able to go back to playing. And so I suppose a big issue, to talk from my experience with Albert Park, was always retention of players at the end of the year. And so it's very important at this point in time to stay in touch with those players, however it may be, keeping them interested in the club, engaging with one another, so that when the seasons do resume, they still all feel connected and want to get back down to training and get started, and don't, have their minds wander off into wanting to play something else. I know it seems like a strange prospect, but it just may be the case. So you want to stay connected with everybody. Now, okay, did anyone have any questions about anything at all at this point in time before we jump into our Gameday websites and what they can do to help you guys?
There were no other questions that came through.
No worries.
Just back on.
Right. All right. So Gameday websites. Firstly, sorry, my slide has frozen. Just give me a sec. Got the spinning wheel of death going on here. My computer's probably just struggling. Anyway, while that's loading, Gameday websites. So what they are, they're our website product, which are powered by WordPress, which they also include Ecommerce, which uses WooCommerce as the extension to WordPress. Okay. Essentially what they are is they're templated websites that come in 3 tiers: Club, Starter, Pro, and Elite. They can be paid for monthly or yearly, and the prices include hosting, which often isn't the case. When you go to build a website, you have to pay hosting on top of what it costs you to set up. Because they're templated, we can deploy them very quickly for you to configure and set up, because we've got a fully fledged customer success team that can help you, and we've also got online handy user guides that you can use to follow through and set up your shop. So a couple of examples I showed before were the Illawarra Hawks and the Kellyville Rouse Hill Footy Club. And I would like to be able to demonstrate some more of the features beyond e-commerce. I just want to see if I can manage to get my computer, start the program. Sorry, Cam, can you guys all still hear me while I've been speaking about Gameday websites?
Yeah, we got you, Michael. It's all good, mate.
Okay. All right. I can park it for a bit. All right. Again, and that's the slides back on.
Perfect.
Sweet. So some of the other features that we've got on these Gameday websites, this particular feature is available with the Elite website. A live streaming page. All right. So what the NPL managed to do was, a couple of weeks ago, before they were suspended to play, they managed to a YouTube live video countdown to their match. Okay, and I can quickly demonstrate what that looked like as well. The landing page on the MPL Victoria website. Okay, and so this is just a countdown to a certain date that you select, and then that's just a YouTube URL that you embed in the back end. Okay. Okay. Obviously, this this event's already occurred. Okay. I decided to configure the countdown yesterday just so you guys could see how it behaves. But yeah, so you guys can have countdowns to your esports FIFA tournament, or a countdown to an update from your coach, or whatever it may be that you're deciding to do virtually. Okay, and you can post these on your website. You can integrate with your Facebook channel and display them on your website. That I referenced earlier, okay, with the run, okay, and obviously some other great pull in your competition data and display your sponsors. So this is the say Kellyville on, I believe it's the Pro example, but they do look quite similar. Like not having a full width news banner, but all of them come with your custom URLs that you can use, the ability to integrate with YouTube, show live feeds, you can create player profiles. The most important thing is they're very competitive in price. They're also very easy to set up for you and deploy in a space of a couple of days, as opposed to months that a custom website would take. I think I just saw a question pop up into the PowerPoint. I do apologize. I didn't mean to make this sound so salesy at the end, but we just want to really make sure you understand how we can help if you're interested in setting up a website quickly and starting to digitally connect with your fans, customers, players, etc. So, sorry, Cam, did you see that question come in?
There hasn't been a new one that's come to me. It was just before saying when we we're playing the video, they could only hear the odd word, but I think we're good from there on in, mate, so it's fine.
Look, then I might just throw it to you to talk a bit more about the Gameday website offering if you'd like, and then maybe just touch on the podcast at the end before some question time at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to finish off with everyone, the other couple of good features on our Gameday website this time is to capture people's email addresses. So things like newsletters, subscriptions, that you can have some features of newsletter subscriptions, or just general forms where you capture details of fans who might not be necessary members of your club, and that way you can capture their email addresses and stay in touch with them during these times of isolation, I guess. So they're just a couple of ways that these websites are being used across the community that we're seeing as a whole. One thing that we're proud to do over the next couple of weeks is being able to highlight some of our partners along with some of our clients and customers out there as a whole. We will be launching our own podcast series within the next 2 weeks, so stay tuned for that. We will drop everyone some information on that podcast series. It's going to be a very interesting one where we'll be discussing strategic partners that we have who are working very, very similar to us in the space. We'll also be speaking with customers, so everyone from grassroots sporting clubs to state sporting organisations to small associations, event operators, and national sporting organisations around Australia, where we'll be able to share some ideas and bits and pieces of different information to help each other out as well. So there was a question from Rick that went direct to you, Michael. I'm not sure if you can see that in your panel or not.
I saw something pop up on my screen briefly, but if Rick, if you could retype that or even just speak up and unmute yourself, perhaps. But either one, and I'll happily answer it.
Just put you off mute, Rick, if you want to ask your question.
Yeah, Michael, we've already got a WordPress website at our club. So just wondering if there are any benefits of migrating our website to Gameday, and if we did, is it possible to migrate our WordPress site as it is, or are we limited to the templates on the Gameday platform?
Good question. So the benefits of being on a Gameday website is because it's a templated WordPress theme that we've built. If we decide that we want to improve it, or we get a lot of feedback to add to the website, we will develop that in-house, test it locally, and then deploy it out to your website and everybody else's who's on the Gameday template. And you guys don't have to pay any extra money. The difference between that and having your own custom-built WordPress website is that when you go to a developer and say, hey, I'd like a live streaming page or a countdown clock on my homepage, they have to charge you to develop it naturally, unless they're very generous. In terms of migrating your website, and in fact, sorry, I missed something. If you migrate your website, you won't you won't bring across the styling and the colors and all of the features that you have on your existing website. You will be inheriting our design template, our features, etc. Okay, so basically you'd be only wanting to migrate onto Gameday if you like the look of our website and design and features a lot more than what you've already got. All of the data, so like your news articles, your events, your pages that you've built, the documents, all of those things that sit inside the database, they get migrated across. So just to reiterate, it's the styling, design, and the features that you have to inherit, which are Gameday. Does that answer your question? I think you're on mute again.
Yeah, thank you. That makes sense.
Okay, no worries. Any other questions?
Michael, I think that's it. Appreciate everyone jumping in to today's webinar and listening to some of the knowledge that we're able to share. I know Michael's got a whole heap of references that he's talked about through today's webinar, and what we will do is make sure everyone who's attended here today has access to the PowerPoint document that we walked you through, and hopefully we've been able to share some different ideas, news and information to help you keep your members engaged over the course of the next few weeks. Michael, thanks very much for your time and taking everyone through today's webinar and sharing your industry knowledge, mate. It's much appreciated.
No worries, guys. And good luck with everything, and I hope you all stay safe and healthy.
Thanks, everyone, and we'll be in touch with a document very shortly to everyone. Have a great afternoon.